Welcome to NACTV Reads the News. My name is Cathy McGrath, and I'm one of many volunteers that help create programming for our station. NACTV can be seen on MTS Channel 30 or 1030, Westman Cable Channel 17, Bell Satellite Channel 592, or online at nactv.tv. These programs are made possible by our volunteers, staff, advertisers, as well as donations made by you, the viewers. If you are enjoying your NACTV experience, please consider supporting us by either donation or volunteering. You can contact our office at 204-476-2639 or at nactv@wcgwave.ca. And today is Friday, February 17th, 2023. And last week's front page talked all about the Viterra men's curling coming to Neepawa, and this week we tell you what happened. Neepawa hosts curling's best during Viterra Provincial Championship, and pictured is the winning rink. From left to right, lead Ryan Harnden, second Colton Lott, third BJ Neufeld, skip Matt Dunstone, and coach Adam Kingsbury. They will represent Manitoba at the Brier after beating Reed Carruthers 8-7 at the Viterra Championship on Sunday, February 12th at the Yellowhead Centre in Neepawa. In the inset photo, attendance was consistent throughout the week for the draws at the Yellowhead Centre as large crowds watched all the action live. And Owen Devereaux presented this. Neepawa proved to be a more than hospitable host for one of curling's grandest annual events. From February 8th to 12th, the Yellowhead Centre was home to the Viterra Men's Provincial Curling Championship. For 5 days, the very best teams from across Manitoba converged on the community, and when it came to the action out on the ice, they didn't disappoint. That level of excellence was equally matched away from the rink by the organizing committee and nearly 400 local volunteers who helped make the festivities one to remember. The organizing committee for Neepawa was co-chaired by Heather Toderick and Scott Newton. They, along with a committed group of supporters and board members, have been hard at work for nearly a year to ensure those 5 days in February went as smoothly as possible. Co-chair Scott Newton said now that it's all said and done, all that time and effort was worth it. It was fun and glad we did it. It's a long process to get everything planned, but I thought it was really rewarding to see our community come together to make the event happen. As I go to the next page. There were a few challenges the event unexpectedly faced, the most notable being the weather, as it was abnormally warm for this time of year. The local committee, along with Curl Manitoba representatives, took that challenge in stride and worked to ensure it didn't impact the ice as best they could. The attendance figures are still being finalized, but Newton expects those numbers will be positive. As for any feedback the local committee received from the event, Newton said it's been pretty positive. Curl Manitoba was really happy with the event. They thought it was well organized and was well attended. Overall, there was a lot of praise from their side, he stated. As well, I only heard positive feedback from the teams. They thought the hospitality was exceptional and were really happy with the quality of curling ice that was provided. The organizing committee, represented by Newton and Toderick, were quick to thank all the volunteers who went above and beyond to ensure the event was successful. The end results proved to be a true showcase for Neepawa and its people in a positive way. Touchwood Park artists show off work for the first time by Casper Warren. And pictured as everybody was invited to Bruce Brothers Bistro in Neepawa on February 9th to enjoy a gala evening celebrating the displaying of artwork made by Touchwood residents. The artists were available at the event for meet and greets. It was the artists' first time in displaying their work. And pictured, 2 Touchwood residents admire their work on the wall, the right bulletin board, with the gala attendee. While food is likely the first thing that comes to mind when one thinks of Brews Brothers Bistro, people's attention primarily lay elsewhere when visiting the Neepawa restaurant in the afternoon of February 9th from 2 to 3 p.m. That day, an art gala was held featuring the works of Touchwood Park members. All who attended had the opportunity to meet the artists and admire their work while enjoying the comfortable atmosphere and warmth of the bistro and perhaps a late lunch. I love sunrises. We painted some of our own with the colors more abstract, said artist Dorothy Lyon, drawing attention to the works on display. And the Northern Lights pieces I really enjoyed. We got to experiment with color, apply different techniques that we learned, and splatter paint. Denoting a future piece, Lyon added, the project we're currently working on is a whale. The whale projects had been started earlier that day, with each artist breathing their own life into the paintings. Plans to finish these pieces were set for the same week as this edition of the paper. Lyon, who has been doing art personally for 10 years, noticed that it's a little nerve-wracking to have the group's art on display. This is our first time showing it, Lyon explained, but at the same time, it's really cool to be able to show off our work. Our instructor, Jerry Oliver, has been incredible. This gala was hosted by Arts Forward in collaboration with Brews Brothers Bistro and sponsored by Lisa Adams of Remax Valley View Realty. Anyone who has yet to see the art can still do this, as it will be on display at Brews Brothers until the end of March. Another meet and greet is also being planned for that month, giving people in the area another chance to put faces to the art. A calendar featuring the Touchwood artists' works is also currently in the making, with plans to release it in the fall. Now we have Looking Back. The headline is 1963, Cram Rink wins Legion Trophy at Bonspiel. And the winner of the handsome Legion Trophy, top prize of the Legion Bonspiel in 1963, was the Wally Cram Rink. Pictured, Jerry Adams left, presents the trophy to rink members Wally Cram, Ken Spackman, Arnold Poole, and Norman Cheatham. 125 years ago, 1898, the Farmers Institute meeting in the courthouse on Saturday last was more largely attended than has been in the case for the long time past. President Mullen presided, and Secretary Drysdale was in his place too. W.F. Surratt, MPP, read a carefully prepared paper on the cost of raising wheat. His estimate was $8.35 per acre. The mayor and Councillor Barr, Clare, Hamilton, and Howden were present at the town council meeting last Friday evening. Communications were received from the MH Fieldhouse, refees as police magistrate, no action taken. Also from J.M. Baldwin, Secretary Treasurer of Turtle Mountain, rebate on taxes, no action taken. W.O. McRobbie, rehose for fire engine. The Bell Telephone Company, re-telephones. Moses McFadden, re-town plan. A. Whitaker, Secretary Treasurer of Portage La Prairie, re-Municipal Assessment Act. When R.C. Ennis was in Carberry recently, he was interviewed by a number of prominent farmers rebuilding a mill there. He stated that if the municipality secured the necessary permission to install a mill, he would make an offer much better than anything that had been offered before for the building of a 300-barrel mill or forfeit $5,000. This seems to reassure some of the skeptical ones in Carberry who held the opinion that the offer of Mr. Ennis last year was only a bluff and intended to delay the construction of a mill at Carberry so that trade would be delivered to Neepawa for a time. There is now a strong probability of the municipalities giving the required assistance. Gordon, the following are the officers for the Good Templar Lodge for this term: PCT, W.H. Stratton, C.R.W. Walker, V.T. Miss Surratt, C.E. F. Surratt, R.S. F. Murray, A.S. F. Miss Forsyth, F.S. G.H. Blackwell, T. Miss M. McLaughlin, M. N. Walker, G.J. McLaughlin, S. W. Surratt, Jr. 100 years ago, 1923. Arden. There will be a moccasin dance and game of broomball at the rink tonight. Admission, 25 cents. Glencairn. We have not heard what happened to the editor of the McCurry Times, but we do know that we did not get any papers last week. Snowdrifts as high as the telegraph wires for a distance of 1/4 of a mile in some places made the work of the CNR snowplow gangs both arduous and hazardous during the past week. Fortunately, there have been no casualties, but it must be confessed that the snowdrifts have had rather the best of the conflict so far. 75 years ago, 1948, residents of the town and district were shocked to learn of the sudden passing of Herbert Rutledge on Saturday, February 14th. He was 42 years of age. The passing of Herb has taken from the town one of its most prominent and popular young businessmen. Of a warm and friendly nature, he had countless friends in Neepawa district. An accomplished musician, he was for many years a member of the Neepawa Boys Band and local dance orchestra. Born in Neepawa, October 19, 1905, he lived all his life in the town. After completing his education, he went into the garage business with his father, the late H.R. Rutledge, and continued serving the community until his death. 50 years ago, 1973. Polonia, congratulations from the parish are extended to Mr. and Mrs. John Spies of Neepawa on their 51st wedding anniversary on Wednesday, St. Valentine's Day, February 14th. Glenella Sabres captured top honors at Gladstone hockey tourney over the weekend by virtue of a 4-3 overtime victory over the host team. Glenella started on the road to success by defeating Long Plains 3-0. In this game, Don Zidane scored the opening goal at the 3-second mark of the first period. 20 years ago, 2003. The board of Great Plains Interpretive Center is packing it in, ending an 8-year project that never quite got off the ground. And now board members are left to grapple with just what went wrong with the proposal that started with such promise. After 22 years of operating the Neepawa District Handy Van, Ron Forsman won't be renewing his contract this spring. Forsman, who also operates the Neepawa Ambulance Service, said he made the decision not to bid on the contract because emergency services are taking greater priority. Shortly after the turn of the century, May 19, 1903, some energetic women of their community formed the Hospital Aid, now known as the Neepawa Health Auxiliary Association. In 1973, the first Hope Chest draw was held, and through the continued generosity of Neepawa District business and professional people, it has become an annual event. The cedar chest, due to inflation, was doomed to be too expensive, now is replaced by a cash draw annually. Home Buddies from Rita Friesen. Humble. Me, Master Copperfield, said Uriah. Oh no, I'm a very humble person. I am well aware that I am the humblest person going, said Uriah Heep. For those of us who studied Charles Dickens, or simply read his words for pleasure, Uriah's hand-wringing humility stands firm in memory. The humblest person going stepped right into the being proud category, to my understanding. I have been given humility a good bit of thought lately. It may have been triggered by the fact that my partner and I, both not young but not yet old, against our better judgment, moved a small, medium-weight piece of furniture, all because I wanted a bookshelf in its place. Long story short, my partner compressed a disc in his lower back. This has happened before, but never with the degree of pain and immobility he has now. We knew better, didn't think, and now we need to ask for help. For me, that is a part of being humbled and humility. True humility goes so much deeper than that. Humility is not the lack of self-esteem, it is knowing in our place in the universe. Not an economic, education, name, creed, or color place, but a place defined by our connectedness and dependence on God for who and what we are. We, as a society, have glorified getting ahead as a mark of human achievement. As a Christ follower, I am reminded frequently that the first shall be last and the last shall be first. Look to the needs of others, serve, seek justice, mercy, and walk humbly with my God. A quote from this week's reading: winning, owning, having, consuming, and controlling are not the high posts of the spiritual life. Looking around this world, my world, I see too much winning, owning, having, consuming, and controlling. It rather centers back to my musings of a few weeks ago. Too many people have lost the desire to be a servant. And it isn't from lack of teaching or lack of example. We do know that actions speak louder than words. Humility requires self-examination and self-revelation. Psychologists tell us that the struggles we hide are the ones that consume us. Too many of us wear masks, pretending to be what we are not, hoping to present as perfect. I do not have the energy for that. For most of my adult life, I have been open and transparent. Telling the truth every time means I do not have to try to remember who I said what to. Benedict tells us that it is bad for the soul to have more than necessary, that it gluts us, that it protects us in plexiglass from the normal, the natural. The goal of life is not to amass things, but to get the most out of what we have. I have been inundated with ways to declutter my home, to simplify my living. Hey, I've done that, and doing that. Another quote from this week's reading: humility, the lost virtue of our era, is crying to heaven for rediscovery, knowing our place and purpose in the universe. And we have thumbs up, thumbs down. Thumbs down to the Department of Highways, or whoever is responsible for the big sign on number 16 going east. When you're coming towards Neepawa off number 5 onto Highway 16, the sign they put up at the bridge is very obstructive to oncoming traffic. The sign has been installed for the last 2 winters, and nothing is printed on it. Lillian Baraslu from Neepawa. And thumbs up to Neepawa Access TV for the excellent coverage of the Viterra Provincial Men's Curling Championship. Great camera angle shots and good commentary. I am sure many people enjoy curling. Robert Smith of Sydney. And we have Helen's got some barley vegetable soup and barley mushroom casserole recipes in here today, and a bit of information on barley. Barley, a member of the grass family, is probably the oldest grain grown on the planet and the 4th most important cereal crop in the world. This centuries-old grain contains important vitamins, minerals, and fiber. Pot barley is the whole grain barley with the outer inedible husk removed, but the bran and germ are intact. Thus it is rich in dietary fiber and has more nutritional value than pearl barley. In pearl barley, the bran layer has been stripped off entirely. Pearl barley is the most widely available in the grocery stores and is the quickest variety to cook. Pot barley takes 25 or more minutes to cook than pearl barley. Both barleys are done when they has tripled in volume and are soft yet chewy. Barley can be used in stews, soups, risottos, and many other dishes. For the beer drinkers of the world, it can be used to make their favorite drink, but my favorite way to use barley is in beef and barley soup. And here we have Your Listening Ear by Delcy Martin. Consider your partner's past when building friendship. From the attachment theory camp, one of the leading experts, Susan Johnson, suggests that we need to consider how our partner related to their own caregivers when building friendship. If your partner had a childhood where there was an unresponsive, inconsistent, or neglectful care, it is possible that they could react in a few ways during conflict. First, they could have a high sensitivity to any negative messages coming from you or facial expressions you make. Adults who were raised in unstable households often misinterpret natural facial expressions to be negative. Does your partner ask you, "Are you okay?" a lot, or believes that you're upset when you aren't? Chances are they have a childhood history that is staying with them. This will make it especially difficult for them to draw upon their positivity bank during times of conflict. So I would recommend you keep it well stocked with love. Your partner may also withdraw from you during times of conflict. Do you have a partner that says, "It's okay," when it's not? Or, "You are right, just leave me alone"? Do you notice that your partner lowers their eyes or tries to make themselves look smaller when you argue? This is a natural flight response that was developed in childhood as a protection mechanism. If I make myself look small, if I say things that are non-threatening, the scary yelling person will go away and my nervous system will calm down. Finally, from adults who experience trauma in their childhood, we see an oscillation between extreme need of their partners to running away. They demand connection and then distance themselves. This is another childhood protection mechanism. The child longs for their parent, as is natural. The parent gives it for a short period of time, but then the trauma happens and the child becomes fearful. Inconsistent and traumatic parenting gives the child the message of, "My caregiver will always be there for me until they aren't. Then they are here for me and then they aren't." This develops into an internal dialogue in the adult. People who love me won't always be here for me. When relationships are in their infancy stages, intimate friendship is still being built through a series of verbal, nonverbal, and emotional exchanges. Couples can have trouble building these early connections with their partners if they have a lot going on in their lives, children, demanding work schedule, etc., and need to make intentional time to connect. If that time isn't made or they have trouble connecting with one another, they don't develop that secure attachment that's beginning living their lives more and more in parallel. Friendships in a relationship is not just handshakes, make a commitment, and we are besties forever sort of thing. It's not reasonable to expect us to maintain the same level of intimacy and friendship with our partners when all we do is exist in a room together. Friendships take work. Intimate friendships take even more work because we have expectations that they come naturally. If you put in the work, I promise that you will slowly start to see results, and they will be absolutely fantastic. Lucky Ned to Play at Museum fundraiser submitted by Gloria Mott. Pictured are the band members who make up Lucky Ned, which will be playing at the Carberry Legion on March 12th. The band members are Brent White, Bill Turner, Brian Giesbrecht, and Carrie Skinner. Lucky Ned is coming back to Carberry. The Carberry Plains Museum Board has invited Lucky Ned to the Royal Canadian Legion on Sunday, March 12th at 2 p.m. They were here last in 2018, and 5 years later, we are welcoming them back once again. And who is Lucky Ned, you might ask? Band member Bill Turner describes the group as 4 experienced musicians looking for redemption. They, like all of us, found that the COVID-19 pandemic played havoc with musicians that need to play in front of real people. They see playing at these events not only a chance to sing and play together, but to support organizations like our museum. The band consists of Brian Giesbrecht, retired judge, rhythm guitar, harmonica, lead vocals; Brent White, retired mental health worker, lead guitar, mandolin, and vocals; Brent White, retired mental health worker, lead guitar, mandolin, and vocals; Bill Turner, retired broadcaster, accordion, Cajun, Irish flute, Irish whistle, and vocals. What brought them together was a common love of music and song. They started playing together about a decade ago. Their music might take you back to a memory of the 50s or a present-day song. Their repertoire includes rock and roll, jazz, bluegrass, country, ballads, folk songs, and light rock. Sometimes they toss in a gospel song. They intersperse those numbers with some delightful conversation with the audience. Bill says, "When we're making music, you can tell we're enjoying every minute." You can also check them out on YouTube, Lucky Ned at the Old Garage. This event is a fundraiser for the museum. The Carberry Plains Museum consists of the main museum, which houses everything from classroom, pioneer kitchen, to agricultural tools. Our military display includes the new Wings to War site, which is outside to the west of the main building. To the east of that building is the 1898 Gingerbread House, one of only 2 such styled homes in Western Canada. We are open from mid-June to early September. The new restoration project at the Gingerbread House is an upstairs room, formerly a modern kitchen, which will exhibit library, music, and art artifacts. The upkeep of 2 buildings can be expensive, and the museum board augments the grants that they get with fundraisers such as this. And then, sad story, fatal 2-vehicle accident occurs near Neepawa by the Neepawa staff. A multi-vehicle accident close to Neepawa has claimed the lives of 2 people. On Tuesday, February 14th at 2:25 p.m., a Spruce Plains RCMP vehicle was traveling west on Highway 16 when it came across a 2-vehicle collision. The crash was near the intersection of Road 82 West, about 8 kilometers east of Neepawa. An investigation has determined that the westbound vehicle had crossed over the center line and was struck by an eastbound SUV. There were 2 occupants in each vehicle, a 45-year-old driver and a 16-year-old passenger in the westbound vehicle, and an 81-year-old driver and a 75-year-old passenger in the SUV. Both occupants of the westbound vehicle from Neepawa were pronounced dead on the scene. The occupants of the SUV, who are from Plumas, were rushed to hospital with serious but non-life-threatening injuries. Everyone involved in the accident were wearing seat belts. As of Wednesday, February 15th, the Spruce Plains RCMP, along with a forensic collision reconstructionist, continue to investigate. And then into happy news. Winning lotto crossword purchased in Neepawa. $250,000 winner looks forward to a family vacation in Mexico. And pictured is Wayne Jacobson recently purchased a winning crossword premium instant ticket at Neepawa from the Neepawa Dunstone Co-op gas bar. Wayne Jacobson was at Neepawa Gladstone Co-op gas bar at 50 Main Street in Neepawa on January 20th when he decided to pick up his crossword premium instant ticket. When he got home and started scratching, he discovered he was holding on to a winning ticket. I thought I had won $10,000, he explained. I showed it to my wife and she said it was possibly a $250,000 winner. I had to go back to the store and have the clerk check the ticket to confirm the win, he chuckled. Jacobson took his ticket to the same store and the cashier confirmed his big win by scanning it on their terminal. The excited winner has a few plans for his windfall. I was planning on taking my extended family on a trip to Mexico. Now that trip can happen a lot sooner, says Jacobson. Concerns over crosswalk raised by Owen Devereaux. Neepawa Town Council has been asked to push the province on changes to the pedestrian crossing at Mountain Avenue and Hospital Street. Brad Mummery brought forward the request on Tuesday, February 7th during Council's regularly scheduled meeting. Mummery has first-hand knowledge on the topic as he serves as a school bus driver during the winter and spring. He told Council that increased traffic volumes have created serious traffic issues, especially on school days between 8:30 a.m. to 8:45 a.m. and 3:25 p.m. to 3:40 p.m. Mummery has distributed a petition throughout the community requesting the Provincial Minister of Highways to take immediate action to correct the issue. Any changes at that particular location must be approved by the province because Mountain Avenue is a former provincial highway and still falls under the jurisdiction of the government because of it. In his presentation to Council, Mummery added that at peak traffic times, the area is, at best, a logistics nightmare and at worst, a tragedy waiting to happen. There have been some near-miss situations that could have very easily ended up tragically, said Mummery. I see the potential for disaster twice daily during the week in my duties as a bus driver. I feel as though I must be proactive and exercise my due diligence in trying to correct the situation before any type of accident does occur. Along with the potential danger in the area, Mummery also spoke on the near standstill that occurs during the morning and afternoon. He noted that there have been delays of up to 13 minutes for some vehicles trying to turn from Hospital to Mountain. Members of Council, as well as administration with the town of Neepawa, have already been in discussion with Mummery on the issue of past weeks. Councillor Murray Parrott offered an update to Mummery and they noted that they are in agreement. We brought up the concern related to the crosswalk again because we did, in fact, have that same concern as you have, stated Parrott. Both the Beautiful Plains School Division and the town of Neepawa have pursued having a better location for the crosswalk. The town has continued to communicate with the Highways Office on this matter and hopes a resolution can be reached. Ultimately, however, the decision will be the province's alone to make. Suggestions for expanded tree program brought to Town Council by Owen Devereaux. The town of Neepawa has been asked to explore an expansion to our community's local tree planting efforts. At its most recent meeting on Tuesday, February 7th, council members heard from presenter and former mayor Adrian de Groot, who requested additional supports for the existing urban management program. A public tree planting program already exists within the community through the fine work of Public Works and the engagement of several local organizations. We've been fortunate to have a sustained planting of trees, so I'd like to expand on that concept, said de Groot. What I'd like to propose is that we expand our tree planting initiatives to develop a private tree planting program as well. De Groot further explained that type of private program would allow residents the chance to engage with the town in the expansion of trees within town limits, citing the potential creation of tree canopies. In the institution of the project, de Groot made a few suggestions, including the town making a finite amount of trees, depending on budgetary budgetary restrictions available to residents on a yearly basis. The homeowner would be responsible for planting the tree at a discounted rate in a responsible fashion with some guidance from the town. This could increase the value of being from Neepawa and take pride in what we do, de Groot added. After the presentation concluded, Council had questions in regard to the proposal for administration to further examine. Those questions included costs related to an expansion of tree purchases, clarification of allowable locations where the trees could be planted, and types of trees that could or perhaps should be excluded from the program. Council thanked de Groot for the suggestions and plan on reviewing the viability of an expanded program. NMS students treated to a day of STEM activities by Casper Warehan. Pictured are groups of students chat excitedly while working on their STEAM and STEM projects. The Neepawa Middle School, NFMS, was full of excitement and animated discussion on Thursday, February 9th. That day, the grade 8 girls were invited to the 2023 edition of the Girls in STEAM, Science, Technology, Engineering, Arts, and Math conference, hosted virtually by the Saskatchewan Science Centre. The grade 8 boys got in on the fun too, with several STEM activities for them planned throughout the day. The banner and press was on the scene for a portion of the day, getting an inside look as the activities went on. We were really excited for this invitation, and the students seemed very grateful for this opportunity, said teacher Michelle Colby, noting that NMS was the only school in Manitoba to attend. I think they enjoyed learning things from a new scientific frontier. The classes are coming together and testing new boundaries, gaining a lot of knowledge, Colby added. Although the nature of the STEAM conference is directed to young girls, we really wanted to ensure that all of our students had the opportunity to enjoy their days with these STEM activities. And indeed, the fun was apparent. On the part of the STEAM group, the multipurpose room became full of pops and exclamations of surprise as seltzer rockets took flight. Students used old film canisters decorated with beautifully cut-out paper tail fins and cones, water, and Alka-Seltzer tablets to conduct the experiment. The fully prepared rockets would be placed on the ground with the canister's cap facing down, then observed from a safe distance. The CO2 levels in the canister would increase, building pressure until it caused the tube portion to launch into the air. It's pretty good. There's a lot of interesting projects happening, said student Liliane Devar as she carefully prepared her rocket. We feel very special and grateful to the opportunity to attend this conference. There's a grade 8 camping trip coming up in the future that I'm really looking forward to, too. Tyson Tarrant, a student with the STEM group, echoed the sentiment that highlighted the project that the STEM teams were working on. Right now, we're designing a tower to hold a ball. My team and I are creating 2 separate boxes, which we will join together in the end to hopefully have the strength to hold it, said Tarrant. We're layering the sides to make them more durable, using thicker paper to help. He added, we have a gym class coming up with all of them too, and I'm excited to find out what the 4th challenge will be for the day. In addition to being strong enough to hold a ball, the towers had to meet other conditions as well. For example, being at least 60 centimeters tall. Amidst the discussion and laughter, each team carefully planned out their towers before building. Each team took different approaches to achieve their goal and incorporating different shapes to hopefully create a stronger tower. Several additional activities were prepared for the day, including a STEAM presentation from keynote speaker Kristen Faciol of the Canadian Space Agency and additional mystery challenges for the STEM group. Upon the day's conclusion, Colby provided an additional comment on behalf of all teachers involved, stating, we felt the day went really well, and students had opportunities to explore new science ideas. And Team Dunstone wins Curling Provincials in Neepawa by Owen Devereaux. Matt Dunstone and his team from the Fort Reach Curling Club won the 2023 Viterra Men's Provincial Curling Championship. There was a dramatic finish to the Viterra Men's Provincial Curling Championship in Neepawa on Saturday, February 12th. Trailing by 2 in the final end, Matt Dunstone and his team from the Fort Rouge Curling Club staged an improbable comeback to win 8-7 over team led by Reed Carruthers. This is the first time Dunstone has won Manitoba's curling crown. Though defeated in the championship game, Carruthers' team will still advance to the Tim Horton Brier set for London, Ontario in March as a wild card team. A shocking conclusion. Going into the 10th and final end, Carruthers led 7-5 after scoring 2 with the hammer in the 8th and stealing 1 in the 9th. The game took a turn, however, when Team Carruthers' 4th stone of the 10th and Manitoba's final was removed because Connor Nevigan burned it with his broom while sweeping. That allowed for Dunstone's team to jam the house with several stones. Carruthers, who had curled with just a 3-man team throughout the Provincials, then missed a difficult takeout with his final rock to leave Dunstone counting 3. Hats off to my boys for setting up the end, said Dunstone after the game to the Curl Manitoba live stream. It was looking a little dicey, but really proud of the way we battled on in the 10th. The Dunstone team consists of Matt Dunstone, B.J. Newfield, Colton Lott, and Ryan Harnden. Dunstone and his teammates will represent Manitoba at the Tim Hortons Brier in London, Ontario, March 3rd to 12th. Neepawa Farmers secure first-round home ice advantage. Close out THHL regular season with win in Rivers by Owen Devereaux. The Neepawa Farmers have secured themselves a very important first-round advantage in the Tiger Hills Hockey League, THHL, playoffs, with their 3-2 win in Rivers on Saturday, February 11th against the Jets. Neepawa walked down 4th place in the THHL's East Division with 15 points, 7-10-1-0 record on the season. That propelled them past the McGregor Wild, 6-10-1-1, 14 points, in the standings by a single point. The Farmers and the Wild will face off one another in a best-of-3 quarter-final, which begins on Thursday, February 16th in Neepawa at the Yellowhead Arena. Opening face-off is set for 8 p.m. Game 2 will follow on Saturday, February 18th at 4 p.m. That game as well will be at the Yellowhead. Game 3, if necessary, we played in McGregor. A date and time were not announced before the Banner and Press published deadline. The Farmers geared up for the playoffs with one final victory in the regular season, a 3-2 decision over the Rivers Jets on February 11th. This was the first time those two clubs have played one another since Rivers transferred over the Tiger Hills from the North Central Hockey League last off-season. Neepawa started out the game quickly as Brad Marshall scored just 3 minutes 36 seconds in opening period. Corbin Mariage added one more just before the end of the period to make it a 2-0 for the visiting Farmers. Rivers would claw one back on the scoreboard in the second as Riley Shamroy scored for the Jets. In the third, Farmers scoring leader Kyle McDonald added one more to his season stats to make it a 3-1. McDonald closes out the regular season with 40 points, 20 goals, 20 assists in 17 games, which places him within the top 10 for league scoring for the year. Sean Bowles of Minnesota Elkhorn led the league with a 57-point campaign, 28 goals and 29 assists. A Cale Baumbach goal midway through the third for Rivers wasn't enough as Neepawa closed out the game with a 3-2 win. That win, combined with a McGregor loss to Wawanesa on Friday, February 10th, secured 4th for the Farmers. And Minnedosa dominates the playoff opener by Owen Devereaux. It was a great start to the postseason for the Minnedosa Bombers in their 8-2 win over the Pilot Mound Pilots on February 11th. Tony Partridge had a breakout game for the Minnedosa, leading the way with 4 points, 2 goals, 2 assists. Shane Jury, 2 goals, 1 assist. Clay Bergenson, 2 goals. Ryan Haino and Zane Sawyer also scored for the Bombers, while Tyler Jurley also contributed big with 3 assists. Jaden Buchanan and Tanner Medowin scored for Pilot Mound in defeat. The win puts the Bombers up 1-0 in the best-of-3 quarterfinal series against Pilots. The next game will be played in Pilot Mound on Friday, February 17th at 8:30 p.m. Neepawa Tigers tame the Colts by Owen Devereaux. Kabaki leads the way with a 5-point night. Jory Kabaki scored 4 goals and added an assist to help power the Neepawa Tigers hockey team to a dominant 7-1 win over the Deloraine Hartney Colts on Friday, February 10th. Ward Brister, Hayden Delaloy, and Tarek Lapointe provided the rest of the offense for Neepawa, while Austin Michalak earned the win in net for the Tigers. To go along with his 1 goal, Lapointe also had 3 assists. The next home game for the Tigers will be on Saturday, February 18th versus the RGG Raiders. Start time is set for 7:30 p.m. Excuse me. WMCI curlers sweep to Provincials. It was submitted. After enjoying a relatively mild January, we all knew that the end would come. A true Manitoba winter would eventually show up, and it did just that on January 26. With so many events planned for the WMCI students before exam week in Gladstone, a divisional closure was not what we needed. Zone 7 boys and girls curling zones were scheduled for Friday and Saturday in Minnedosa. As a result of the closure, the convener was able to make several changes to the draw, and a new plan was put in place for the beginning of the week. Monday arrived, but unfortunately Mother Nature's frigid hold had another plan in place for the boys and girls teams. The hosting division was now the one dealing with the cancellations, which meant they could no longer host. Again, things to be put in hold, but the joys of living in small rural communities prevailed. In the wee hours of the morning, phone calls were made to see if some of the other small-town curling rinks could host the girls' bonspiel, since it had a smaller number of teams. Plumas Curling Rink was able to be opened and prepared for a mid-morning start. Carberry made the venture to Plumas, and the games began. Thank you to Keith Kantz, Cynthia Taves, and Jason Smith for coming to the rescue. The ice was maintained and a canteen was created. Only in a small town could an event like this occur where people come together for the betterment of the community and kids and ask for nothing in return. The curling adventure didn't end with girls' bonspiel. The mixed double teams were scheduled for Tuesday in Rivers. After several reversions and changes to the draws, the event was able to occur. Again, small town people came to the rescue. The canteen organizer fell sick, but she was able to find last-minute help who were able to serve up some excellent food and keep everyone fed. Wednesday arrived, and the last group to play off for zones was the boys. The very early morning calls and texts still continued to determine if the event was still on, since we all know that the temperature had not changed much. Fortunately, the boys were able to travel to Minnedosa to play over the course of the 2 days to determine a zone champion. WMCI was privileged to be able to have so many students participate in the curling zones. Several discussions and laughs were had about the craziness and nightmare of the rescheduling and last-minute planning, but one common thread came through. Only in rural areas can you count on people being flexible and willing to work together for the betterment of kids, the community as a whole, and rural canteens serve the best food. Thank you to Rob Millen, Sylvia Haywood, Barry Troop, Keith Kantz for coaching, all of the organizers for hosting, businesses who allowed coaches and parents to switch their days off to attend, and to schools for rearranging exam schedules for the players. MHSAA Mixed Doubles Curling Provincials. Featured the team from William Morton Collegiate in Gladstone consisted of Connor Braun and Georgia Burr, both grade 10 students, along with their coach, Barry Troop. 16 mixed curling pairs from all areas of the province took part in a 2-day event at Rivers Curling Club over the weekend to crown a high school champion. The shot making from these young curlers was nothing short of impressive, and the quick nature of the mixed doubles game gave a multitude of spectators some wonderful entertainment. More than 20 RCC volunteers were kept busy preparing the ice, timing the 39 games, and helping to organize the event. Rivers Collegiate staff and students helped with the admissions and organization of the event. Our town was busy for the 2 days with teams, spectators, and families staying at the hotel, shopping stores, and eating in the restaurants. After some fierce battles along the way, the Garden City Fighting Gophers defeated another Winnipeg duo, West Kelowna and Wolverines, for the Provincial Championship. Congratulations to the team of Shyla Johnson and Max Barrett, both grade 10 students, along with their coaches, Randon and Tracy Baker. We hope to hear more of these skilled young curlers in the future. Manitoba government continues program policy enhancements through IAC. This is a media release. Results from the 2022 Manitoba Provincial Nominee Program, MPNP, have exceeded expectations in attracting record numbers of skilled immigrants, while the Manitoba government has received the report of the Immigration Advisory Council to help build on this momentum. Labour and Immigration Minister John Reyes announced today. Our government is taking action to help Manitoba better attract and retain newcomers to enhance economic prosperity and enrich communities, said Rays. Thousands of skilled workers immigrate to Manitoba each year, strengthening the workforce and contributing to the further growth and expansion of the economy. Nominations issued by the MPNP reached 6,367 in 2022, the highest number since the program was established in 1998. Rays noted, adding that more than 184,000 nominees and their families have immigrated to Manitoba from all over the world since the program began. To further enhance the program, the IIC was formed in February 2022, co-chaired by Rays and Lloyd Axworthy, to serve as an expert panel and recommend improvements to Manitoba immigration policies and programs. The Council's report is now complete and includes input from every corner of the province. The Manitoba government would like to thank Dr. Axworthy and the IIC for its hard work and dedication reviewing the entire continuum of immigration for providing recommendations to improve our immigration programs and policy, says Rays. The report will be invaluable as our government works to advance Manitoba's economic prosperity and the province's legacy as a leader in immigration. Both the MPNP and the IIC will help inform ongoing efforts to enhance provincial immigration programs and policies to meet labor market shortages and strengthen Manitoba's present and future economic development prospects, the minister noted. MPNP highlights for 2022 include Manitoba's top regional immigration destinations for provincial nominees were Neepawa, Brandon, Steinbach, Morden, Winkler, and Thompson. The top applications for nominees included transport truck drivers, food service supervisors, food counter attendants, cooks, and industrial butchers and meat cutters. In 2022, immigration landings were the highest since the MPNP's establishment in 1998. Up to November 2022, over 21,000 immigrants had declared Manitoba as their intended destination in Canada, with nearly 14,000 arriving through the MPNP. The Manitoba government has also formally requested the Federal Department of Immigration, Refugees and Citizenship Canada approve a significantly larger MPNP nomination allocation for 2023 to better address labour market needs and skills shortages. Our response is expected to be received by the end of March, the minister noted. The IIC's report provides 70 practical recommendations and concrete actions based on stakeholder feedback. The recommendations are grouped around the three goals of the IIC mandate: to improve recruitment in terms of efficiently and breadth of efforts to attract applicants by collaborating with community and businesses in Manitoba, to streamline the MPNP through collaboration with the federal government and aligning the program to Manitoba's evolving labour market, economic development, and community needs, and to enhance Manitoba's settlement, integration, and foreign credential recognition programs and services so more immigrants choose to stay in Manitoba to the benefit of businesses, the economy, and communities. The minister noted the Manitoba government will consider the report's recommendations as it works collaboratively with stakeholders to further enhance the promise's ability to offer new opportunities for immigrants with a variety of skills and experiences from all over the world. The minister highlighted the upcoming recruitment mission to the Philippines to pave the way for hundreds of qualified, internationally educated nurses to move and work here, aligns with one of the report's recommendations to be proactive and competitive in recruiting skilled workers with the strong professional credentials needed to support Manitoba's economy. Opinion. Ottawa pledges $196 billion in health care funding to provinces over 10 years. Submitted by John Filstead. Canada is a confederation of 10 equal provinces with separate areas of jurisdiction set out in the Constitution sections 92 to 95. The federal government is intruding into provincial jurisdiction by using health care funding as a lever to direct provinces on how to deliver health care. There cannot be variances in how individual provinces are treated. That impinges on provincial autonomy and equality. For decades, the federal government has refused to allow private hospitals and clinics in any province, although that option is desperately needed. The reason cited is to prevent a two-tier system where people with money could access care others could not afford. In a socialist myth, healthcare delivery is funded based on services delivered. Whether the service is publicly or privately delivered, the cost to the taxpayer is the same. Moreover, people who can afford it go outside Canada to access services rather than sit forever on waiting lists. We need private investment in healthcare delivery facilities. Private investors can build facilities at a far less cost than governments. Governments must ensure their service fees include value of land, buildings, equipment, staffing, and forgiven taxes to level the playing field and attract private investment. Investors will determine what facilities they can provide while working within the funding framework. For example, investors may create a joint replacement facility to service an area. Once backlogs have been cleared, area hospitals convert to joint replacement facilities for other uses, saving money. Investors can create diagnostic facilities and tackle current backlogs. They can operate 7/24 and reduce backlogs to where in-house public facilities have less of a diagnostic burden. We need dedicated trauma centers where seriously ill or injured patients can be stabilized and sent to an appropriate aftercare facility. The traditional emergency room service is not working. We have 17 medical schools in Canada, but provincial physicians' colleges limit students to about 700 annually. This is unacceptable in a nation where tens of thousands can't access a family doctor. We need to train thousands more doctors and nurses to fill the gaps in a broken system. The federal government recently announced a new national long-term care standards, but they are not mandatory. The standards should have been referred to the provinces for amendment and mandatory adoption. Optional standards are not standards at all. The federal government is constitutionally responsible for building military, marine hospitals throughout Canada and for the health care of prison inmates, military personnel, the RCMP, some federal agency members, diplomatic corps personnel, and Indigenous people. Taking on those duties would provide a huge relief to our provincial healthcare delivery burden. Trudeau and company have no skin in the game. They presided while healthcare delivery deteriorated from no two-tier healthcare to no healthcare available. They cannot be allowed to continue to dictate to provinces from afar. They don't have the expertise to fix the system. Sharing medical information between provinces is vital. Access to a central system rather means that person visiting another province can get proper care if the local hospital or clinic can access their records. There is no need to share the database with the federal government. It is not a primary caregiver. No personnel medical information should be shared internationally except on an authorized case-by-case basis if a Canadian is ill or injured in a foreign nation. Attempts at developing an international traveler registry are not in our interests. Our personal information is not for sale or use by unelected foreign bodies. Digital IDs are a means of controlling everything we do at some future point. We need a citizens' forum to oversee the revamping of our healthcare delivery. The forum must include doctors, nurses, technicians, and support staff representatives. Working together, we can identify the trouble areas and produce a plan to address them. The monitoring also has to be ongoing, so if a proposed fix is not working, it can be killed and replaced with a better solution. Healthcare is everyone's business. We are spending billions and not getting what we pay for. That must be fixed. Trudeau can stop this let's make deals approach, take care of his healthcare delivery duties, and allow provinces to satisfy the public. We are the consumers and financial supporters. We are demanding that governments quit jawing and get on with healthcare reforms. Canadians are fed up with the endless federal-provincial tug-of-war. They are looking to provinces to fix healthcare delivery. Procrastination is off the table. Again, that was an opinion letter from John Felstead. And that concludes the banner press reading for today, February 17th, 2023. Thank you so much for listening.